follow-up to the Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, being detained after protesting Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi's speech. You're looking at the video here captured by us. And Gilad is taken, as you see here, out of the area. He allegedly held up a picture of Masha Amini in protest of Raisi. You'll remember Masha Amini is the Iranian woman who was murdered 1 year ago by Iran's mortality police for not wearing her hijab properly. Erdan claims the UN has reached a, quote, new moral low by giving Raisi a platform, and he is calling Raisi a vile murderer. Also happening today, there was an important bilateral meeting playing out here in New York. President Joe Biden meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, the meeting, we do note, happened in New York, not Washington, D.C. It is a move Israelis say shows the Biden administration's displeasure with Netanyahu's new government. However, there were cordial exchanges between Bibi and Biden. Bibi even saying he was delighted to see President Biden, talking about what he believes is a historic peace that could happen between Saudi Arabia and Israel, saying it was within our reach, saying to Biden, working together, we can make history and confront forces that threaten us, including Iran. Well, let's get you out to the UN right now with all the latest details on these stories. Correspondent Sarah Williamson has been tracking all of it for us today. Sarah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bianca. That meeting that you spoke of brought together those two leaders for the first time since Prime Minister Netanyahu retook office late last year. Now, there was an expectation that the meeting wouldn't go so well, but from what has been said by both Biden and Bibi, the talks were promising. Now, the two leaders speak of upholding checks and balances within both governments, Iran's nuclear weapons program, and of course the pursuit of normalization of ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Now, the two leaders have been friends for a long time, over 40 years, according to Netanyahu. Biden and Bibi reminisced during the meeting on a time 10 years ago when they first spoke about the normalization of ties with the Saudis. Netanyahu encouraged Biden to actively broker an agreement, saying that with the president's leadership, they can forge a relationship with the Saudis and possibly end the Arab-Israeli conflict.
Because even where we have some differences, my commitment to Israel, as you know, is ironclad. I think without Israel, there's not a Jew in the world that's secure. I think Israel is essential.
Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can forge a historic peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And I think such a peace would go a long way, first, to advance the end of the Arab-Israeli conflict, achieve reconciliation between the Islamic world and the Jewish state, and advance a genuine peace between Israel and the Palestinians.
Now, a member of Israel's parliament and former UN ambassador Danny Danon told us that he welcomed the meeting between the two leaders, especially with the issue of the Iranian threat being discussed in light of the recent events and, of course, the expansion of the Abraham Accords. Now, the Abraham Accords were brokered by President Trump, and the Saudi-Israel deal would be an extension of that. But, Bianca, also here today, currently underway, is a meeting of the UN Security Council on a ministerial level, including Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The UN chief briefed the 15-member council, and Zelensky, who is making his first in-person appearance before this UN's most powerful body, speaking first after the briefing, and then US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be number 11 on the list, followed soon after by Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov. Now, this is a huge development in possibly achieving peace between Russia and Ukraine. Many anticipating that Zelensky and Lavrov would not cross paths at the meeting, choosing to come in the room at different times. But as it turns out, they are in the same room and will likely hear each other out during the meeting. Now, this is ongoing, and of course, we will bring you more information on that as the meeting continues to unfold. Bianca.
Sarah Williamson live outside the UN for us. Thank you, Sarah. Good to see you. And let's bring in now senior national security analyst and former acting director of national intelligence, Ric Grenell. He's also the former U.S. ambassador to Germany. Rick, good to see you today. Thanks for joining us on Newsline.
I think my title should be your friend, too, right? My friend, Ric Grenell. Shouldn't you say that, Bianca?
Yes, let's add that. And we were speaking earlier this morning. We know this is quite a busy week, but the top line thoughts there. When you watch the video first, Rick, of Gilad being pulled off there just for protesting, I mean, isn't this free speech? Have we reached a new low here at this General Assembly? What's your take?
Well, first of all, I mean, look, the UN should be well aware that someone like the Israeli ambassador is going to do something when a head of state from Iran is speaking. Certainly the head of state of Iran wants to wipe Israel off the map. So in a real world, there would be more than just the Israeli ambassador protesting. Certainly we see senior diplomats get up and walk out, but to have him somehow escorted out with security is really, I think, a dumb move by the UN. This is not somebody who needs to be escorted out. He is a fantastic ambassador, and you can just tell him to take the sign down or allow him his moment and to move on. But it's silly to escort him.
Certainly heavy-handed as you watch that video play out. Okay, so as a former diplomat, what did you make of this bilateral meeting? We knew that it would be here and not in Washington between Netanyahu and President Biden. By all accounts, and I watched it happen, live, it was cordial. And, we know Israel should be our strongest, partner here. And under this administration, there has been a lot of tension here, Rick. So for Netanyahu to talk about historic peace and saying we need to achieve it, it seems like there can be some common goal here, because obviously, ultimately, at the end of the day, a stable Mideast is the goal.
Yeah, look, this is a very awkward meeting. It should have been taken place at the White House. It's not. Joe Biden has snubbed the Israeli leader, and that's unacceptable. We should see them in a more warm setting. But look at Joe Biden. If you replay that audio, Bianca, you'll see Joe Biden glancing down at his lap to notes. He's reading notes that say something along the lines of, the U.S.-Israeli relationship is strong and solid and unique and, amazing. But he's reading it. Netanyahu doesn't have notes. Joe Biden is having to read the basic principles of the relationship between the United States and Israel. I think it's a real sad moment.
I think so, too, and I think the whole world is also taking note of that as well. And not lost on us, of course, are the historic Abraham Accords that were started by former President Trump. So much different administration here dealing with Israel. Ambassador Grenell, our last question, though, any reaction to what Merrick Garland's been testifying about? Obviously, a lot of interest in his role in appointing David Weiss, the weaponization of our government. And folks want transparency and facts. He has been somewhat dodging them a little bit today in Congress.
Yeah, I mean, listening to him not be transparent and kind of say the same thing over and over, sounding really robotic, just makes me think, thank God he's not on the Supreme Court. I can't imagine this guy trying to decide cases at the highest level of the United States government. It is a really good thing that he's not there. As the head of the Justice Department right now, he's wreaking havoc because he seems very political, very robotic, and extremely focused on protecting Joe Biden.
Definitely interesting to hear Democrats trying to push J6 and not the critical information that a lot of folks are interested exactly into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Ric Grenell, Ambassador, good to see you, and my friend. We'll see you soon.
All the best. Thanks, Bianca.